Hello and welcome. Today, we are talking about how to use English when you join a new class. This is very important because starting a new class can feel exciting, but also a little scary. You might not know anyone, and you might not know what to say. But don't worry, we will help you with useful words and phrases to feel more confident.
Yes, when you enter a new classroom, the first thing to do is find a seat. You can say, "Is this seat taken?" Or, "May I sit here?" If the seat is free, someone might say, "Yes, go ahead," or "Sure, no problem." But if the seat is not free, they might say, "Sorry, this seat is taken."
Right. And when you sit down, you might want to introduce yourself to the person next to you. A simple way is to say, "Hi, I'm your name. What's your name?" If you want to sound more polite, you can say, "Hello, my name is your name. Nice to meet you." The other person will usually say, "Nice to meet you too."
If that happens, you should be polite. You can say, "Excuse me, may I come in?" If it's your first time in the class, you might also say, "Sorry, I'm new here." The teacher will usually say, "That's okay, come in."
Yes. And after you sit down, you might not have a book or a pen. You can ask a classmate, "Excuse me, can I borrow a pen?" Or, "Do you have an extra book?" If they have one, they might say, "Sure, here you go." If they don't, they might say, "Sorry, I don't have one."
Good point. Now, let's talk about when the teacher speaks. The teacher might say, "Welcome to the class," or start with introductions. If the teacher asks you to introduce yourself, you can say, "Hello, my name is Ollie. I'm happy to be here." You can also say where you're from or why you joined the class.
Exactly. And if you don't understand something, it's okay to ask. You can say, "Excuse me, can you repeat that?" Or, "What does that mean?" The teacher or another student will help you. It's important to ask questions so you can learn better.
Yes, asking questions is very important. Also, when the teacher gives instructions, you should listen carefully. They might say, "Please open your book to page 10, or this down in your notebook." If you don't hear it, you can ask, "Sorry, which page?" Or, "Could you say that again, please?"
That's right. In a new class, you want to be polite and friendly. Smile at people, say thank you when someone helps you, and try to join conversations. This will help you feel more comfortable.
Yes, speaking English in a new class is not just about the words you say. It's also about how you say them. Speak clearly, listen carefully, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. When you join a new class, it's also important to understand how to follow the lesson. The teacher will give instructions, ask questions, and explain things. You need to know how to respond and how to stay involved in the class.
Yes, one of the most common things in class is answering questions. Sometimes the teacher asks the whole class a question, like, "What do you think about this?" Or, "Can anyone answer this question?" In this case, you can raise your hand and say, "I think," or "In my opinion."
That's a great way to participate. But sometimes, the teacher calls on you directly. They might say, "Sarah, can you answer this question?" If you know the answer, you can say, "Yes, the answer is." But if you don't know, it's okay to say, "I'm not sure," or "I don't know." If you need more time to think, you can say, "Can you repeat the question, please?"
Yes, and sometimes, the teacher might ask you to explain something. For example, "Can you explain why you think that?" A good way to answer is to say, "Because," or "The reason is." This shows that you are thinking about your answer.
That's very useful. Now, what if you don't understand something in class? Don't be afraid to ask. You can say, "Excuse me, what does this word mean?" Or, "Can you explain that again?" Teachers like it when students ask questions because it shows they are learning.
Exactly. And sometimes, the teacher might use words that are difficult. If that happens, you can ask, "Could you say that in a different way?" Or, "Can you give an example?" This will help you understand better.
Yes, and another important thing is taking notes. In class, the teacher might say, "This is important," or "Put this down." If they say that, it's a good idea to take notes. You don't have to write every word, but you can write the main ideas.
That's right. And if you miss something, you can ask a classmate, "Can I see your notes later?" Or "What did the teacher say about this?" Most classmates are happy to help.
Another thing that happens in class is group work. The teacher might say, work with a partner, or discuss in small groups. If you are in a group, you can say, let's start, or what do you think? This helps you be a good team member.
And if you don't agree with someone, you can say, "I see your point, but I think," or "That's interesting, but maybe." This way, you can share your ideas politely.
Yes, working in groups is a great way to practice speaking English. It helps you get more comfortable talking in class and learning from other students.
Now, let's talk about how to be more confident when speaking in class. Many students feel nervous about talking in English, especially in front of the whole class. But don't worry, there are some simple ways to feel more comfortable.
That's true. The first thing to remember is that making mistakes is normal. Even native speakers make mistakes. If you say the wrong word or forget something, just keep going. You can say, "Oh, I mean," and then try again. The important thing is to keep speaking.
Yes, and another way to feel more confident is to prepare. If you know the teacher will ask you to introduce yourself or answer a question, think about what you want to say before class. You can even practice at home by saying it out loud.
That's a great tip. Also, try to speak slowly and clearly. When we are nervous, we sometimes speak too fast. But if you take your time, people will understand you better. You can also pause if you need to think. You don't have to rush.
Right. And remember to use simple words. You don't need big, difficult words to speak well. If you don't know a word, try to explain it in a different way. For example, if you forget the word notebook, you can say, "the thing I write in." This way, people can still understand you.
That's a great strategy. Another good idea is to listen carefully to your classmates and teacher. If you hear how they say things, you can learn from them. Pay attention to common phrases and try to use them in your own speaking.
Yes, and if you want to sound more natural, you can use small phrases that help you in conversation. For example, if you are thinking, you can say, "Let me think." If you agree with someone, you can say, "That makes sense." If you need more time, you can say, "Give me a moment." These little phrases help your speaking sound smoother.
That's a great point. Also, try to make eye contact with the teacher or your classmates when you speak. It helps you feel more connected and more confident. And don't forget to smile. When you smile, you feel more relaxed.
Yes, smiling can really help. And remember, your classmates are also learning. They are not perfect either. Everyone is in the class to improve, so don't be afraid to speak. The more you practice, the easier it will get.
That's right. Speaking English in class is not about being perfect. It's about communicating and learning. So, take a deep breath, speak clearly, and don't be afraid to try.
Now, let's talk about how to ask and answer questions in class. Asking questions is very important because it helps you understand better. But sometimes students are shy or don't know what to say.
That's true, but asking questions is a big part of learning. If you don't understand something, don't just stay quiet. There are many polite ways to ask for help. You can say, "Excuse me, can you explain this again?" Or, "Sorry, I don't understand. Could you repeat that?"
Yes, and if the teacher is speaking too fast, you can say, "Could you please speak more slowly?" Or, "Can you say that in a different way?" These phrases help you get more information without feeling nervous.
Good point. Also, sometimes, you might need help with a word. You can ask, "What does this word mean?" Or, "How do you say this in English?" If you are not sure about your pronunciation, you can ask, "Am I saying this correctly?"
That's very useful. And what about answering questions? Sometimes the teacher might ask something, and you are not sure of the answer. It's okay. You don't have to be 100% sure. You can say, "I think the answer is," or maybe it's, "This shows that you are trying."
Yes, and if you don't know the answer at all, you can say, "Nah, sure, but maybe," or "I don't know, but I think." This way, you are still participating in class.
Right. And if another student answers and you agree, you can say, "I agree with that," or "That's a good point." If you have a different idea, you can say, I see it differently, or I think another way is. This makes the class more interesting.
That's true. Class is not just about listening. It's also about talking, thinking, and sharing ideas. The more you speak, the more confident you will feel.
Yes, and don't forget to be polite when asking and answering. Always say excuse me or please when you ask a question. And when someone helps you, say thank you. These small words make a big difference.
That's a great reminder. Learning English in class is not just about grammar and vocabulary. It's also about using English in real situations. When you ask and answer questions, you are practicing for real life.
Now, let's talk about how to work well with classmates in a new class. Learning is not just about listening to the teacher, it's also about working with other students. Group activities and discussions are great ways to practice English.
That's right. Sometimes the teacher will say, work in pairs, or find a group of 3. When this happens, don't be shy. You can turn to someone and say, do you want to work together? Or, can I join your group? Most students will say yes.
Yes, and when you are in a group, it's important to be a good team member. One way to do this is by asking others for their ideas. You can say, what do you think? Or, do you agree with this? This makes the conversation better.
That's a great point. Also, when someone gives an idea, you can respond in a polite way. If you like their idea, you can say, that's a good idea, or, agree with you. If you have a different opinion, you can say, I see your point, but what about this? Or, that's interesting, but maybe we can try something else.
Yes, and don't forget to take turns when speaking. If you want to say something, but someone else is talking, you can wait. When they finish, you can say, can I add something? Or, I have a different idea. This keeps the discussion polite.
That's a good strategy. Now, what if someone in your group is very quiet? You can include them by asking, what do you think? Or, do you want to share your idea? This makes sure everyone has a chance to speak.
Yes, that's very kind. And if you don't understand what someone in your group said, you can ask, can you say that again? Or could you explain that more? This helps you learn and keeps the conversation going.
Another important thing in group work is staying on topic. Sometimes, people start talking about something else. If that happens, you can say, let's go back to the task, or, we should focus on the question. This helps the group finish the work on time.
That's a great tip. And when the group work is finished, you can thank your classmates. You can say, thanks for working with me, or that was a good discussion. This helps you make friends and feel more comfortable in class.
Yes, working with classmates is a great way to practice English and build confidence. It's also a chance to learn from others and have fun while learning.
Now, let's talk about how to end a class and what to do after class to keep improving your English. When the lesson is almost finished, the teacher might say, let's stop here for today, or that's all for now. It's a good time to check if you understood everything.
Yes, if you have a question at the end of class, you can ask the teacher, before we finish, can I ask something? Or, could you explain this again? Teachers are happy to help, and asking questions shows you are interested in learning.
That's right. And when class is over, you can say, thank you, to your teacher or classmates. If you worked in a group, you can say, great job, everyone, or see you next time. These small phrases help you sound friendly and polite.
Yes, and after class, it's a good idea to review what you learned. You can look at your notes, read your textbook again, or practice new words. You can also try writing a short summary of the lesson in your own words.
That's a great habit. And if you want to improve your speaking, try talking about the lesson with a friend. You can ask, what did you think about today's class? Or what was the most interesting part for you? This helps you practice English outside of class.
Yes, and don't forget that practice makes progress. The more you use English, the more confident you will feel. Even if you make mistakes, that's okay. Every mistake helps you learn.
Exactly. Learning English is a journey, and every class is a step forward. So don't be afraid to speak, ask questions, and participate. The more you practice, the better you will get.
That's right. And if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share it with your family and friends. Keep practicing, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.